It's week 5, and we'll discuss our favorite plays on the main slate for DraftKings with a full cash lineup and our favorite stack for GPP play. After a dangerous week 4, Michael and I survived, so we're getting you ready for week 5 in NFL Surivor Pools. It's all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants.
Michael, I feel like I say this every week, but I just want to emphasize a big thank you to our FFC community. You guys are really great in the comment section. I think about the size of our channel and the amount of not just the number of comments, but the quality of the comments. We will announce end of week 10 all of the commenters who qualified for free to enter $200 prize pool contest. So keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Hey, Eric, some folks that are watching aren't subscribed, so we're going to remind them to hit the red subscribe button followed by the bell icon so they don't miss any of the future release of videos.
All right. As always, if you're only interested in our NFL Survivor content, feel free to use the timestamps because right now we're going into our DraftKings cash lineup right now.
All right, Eric, here we are in the main slate for DraftKings. Where do you want to start this week?
Well, I like to start at running back. Let's go ahead. And look, Christian McCaffrey isn't the most expensive back. Unclear whether McCaffrey will play, and also unclear, if he does play, whether he gets a full load. Something to watch for because McCaffrey anywhere, anytime against any opponent, certainly at home against Philadelphia, is something I'm interested in. But for now, let's plug in the truck, I call him. Derrick Henry. You usually have to pick your spots with Derrick Henry. You can't just play him in every week like you can McCaffrey. And this is a good spot, Michael. He's got a 26 implied total playing a Jacksonville team that I think you can expose. There are a 4-point favorite. And the one thing to keep in mind with Tennessee is we have to watch their 2 wide receivers and their health. That's Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. They both were out last week. They could be limited this week or maybe out again. So Derrick Henry is a great option. They'll probably rely more on the run and maybe utilize him even a little bit more in the passing game. A little disappointed. Only 2 catches last week with those 2 guys out.
Yeah, actually, real quick, I think actually missing them hurt a little bit. They got a little. Tennessee was late in involving Henry as much as they should have, which I think hurt them in the game. I don't think they'll make that mistake this week. They are using him like the bell cow we know he can be. Usually late in the season, that's what he's doing, but he's doing it early. So I like this pick.
Yeah, 33 and 35 carries in week 2 and week 4. Incredible. All right, Michael. Quick apology. I spent a lot of money. Get us back on track on budget if you can.
Yes, you did. Okay, there's a guy who, if you go down a little bit, we could save a few dollars, who looked really good on Sunday night, and that is Leonard Fournette playing at home against Miami. Miami has looked pretty dang bad on defense. And it's pretty clear Tampa Bay is going with Leonard Fournette as their guy. And if you look where we got him here, he's actually getting some pass catching as well. He's breaking tackles again. He has been pretty impressive in my mind. He needs to get in the end zone, but it hasn't hurt his fantasy points without getting in the end zone. And I think he's about ready to get in the end zone. What do you think?
Yeah, week 4, he out-carried Jones, his competitor, 20-6. He is the guy. Now, Gio Bernard did not play last week. Unclear whether he'll play this week, but I don't think it matters as long as the game script is that Tampa Bay stays ahead in this game. It's when Tampa Bay gets behind that Gio Bernard is going to be in the game. So as long as they stay ahead, they'll be fine. They're the monster 11-point favorites against Miami at home. I think that the game script will be just fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we got to save money. $5,200 for a guy who's got a pretty high floor, I think, is a great bargain.
Yeah, that was incredible. That it's almost like a glitch in DraftKings scoring system. How about wide receiver, Michael?
There's a guy who I think is the clear number one. It was a little surprising to me, but he's been clear number one, but he's going against a defense that has been getting shredded each week. We saw that Tyreek Hill really took advantage of this team this last week, and that is DJ Moore at home against Philadelphia. Yeah, they haven't necessarily been the worst against the pass, but that's partly because of the game script in some of those games. I think he's poised for yet another big week. Look what he's been doing each week.
Yeah, he's averaged 10.8 targets. That's fourth among all wide receivers. And one of the wide receivers ahead of him is Cooper Kupp, and he's on a bye. You know, it's interesting, Michael. We have the Chiefs, the Bills, the Seahawks, and the Rams all off the main slate. There's a lot of high-scoring games that we would have been targeting that we can't. So a little bit more challenging this week, but we need to spend a little bit less money because you know, now you flipped the table on me. Now you spent some money. I'm gonna go at $5,300 to a game that I think is going to be one of the highest scoring games on the main slate. Green Bay and Cincinnati. And for a guy that gives us a nice floor, how about the slot receiver Tyler Boyd, who has had 8 targets per game in the last 3 games? Now, I do want to watch the T. Higgins news to see whether he will be out. I am really bullish on the Tyler Boyd pick. If Higgins is out, I still like it, just not as much if Higgins plays. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the T. Higgins playing is very important, but this feels a lot like talking about Leonard Fournette. I just think a really high floor. You know, he's right there in the slot. They love to give him the ball over the middle, so he, you know, in a PPR league like DraftKings, he's a great option. And I do think this game will be high scoring, which is a reason to look at Davante Adams as well, who wasn't that much more expensive than DJ Moore. But, you know, obviously spending that extra $700 or $800 could have an impact.
All right. So what we're going to do now is we have put ourselves in a corner where we have to save money. Now, the good news is we have 2 great options and they're the same price. So we'll let you guys pick which one you want. One is Laviska Shenault at $4,800. DJ Shark is out, folks, and he faces a Tennessee defense, a secondary that is just not good. And so at $4,800, he is someone that we think you should consider. But for our sake, for this lineup, we'll put in Jalen Waddle, also at $4,800. And similar, he has a competitor for targets, Will Fuller, who is out. And he faces the Tampa Bay defense. Michael, we just always keep saying this. We're going to keep saying this until people force people to follow up. You can't run on Tampa Bay, but you certainly can pass on them. And yes, I don't love the Miami Dolphins passing attack, but I think they're going to be a situation where they're going to have to pass, both game script and not being able to run. So Jalen Waddle, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Tampa Bay's defensive backfield continues to have problems. I think they had yet another injury. Yeah, they brought in some older cornerbacks to try and to improve things. But everybody knew that New England was going to pass all game, and they did. And Mac Jones, a rookie, handling the pressure, was able to dump off to his dump off. And I think that's going to be Jalen Waddle this week, maybe Devontae Parker as well. But Devontae Parker is too expensive. And then, you know, talking about Shenault, I'm surprised that Marvin Jones is more expensive than Shenault. It was really clear to me watching that game last week that Shenault was the go-to guy for Lawrence when he needed to get a first down.
All right, so let's go to tight end. Unfortunately, we can't afford, you know, you might go, it's really Darren Waller. It's your guy. No Kelsey on this slate, and Kittle's injury just concerns me whether he is 100%, even if he plays, because he just hasn't been that pass catching threat that he has been in the past. So speaking about a guy who has been a strong pass catching threat and we can save mucho money is at $3,200. It's Evan Ingram. He missed the first 2 games of the season with a calf injury, but he's back and he faces a pass defense. Well, the Dallas Cowboys are a really good team to go against. Why? Because the Cowboys score a lot of points, and they're putting in a game script where the team has to pass against them, and that's what the opposing teams have done so far. They're the second worst pass ranking defense, and so at only 3,200, we don't need much. So let's hope that Ingram can give us it.
Yeah, I mean, Evan Ingram is one of these many tight ends who has a special talent. It's just a matter of whether he's going to get the utilization that he should be getting. And I think over each week we'll see more and more. And Dallas is a great spot for him to start there. And we have to save the money, so let's do it.
All right. Speaking of that Dallas defense and against the pass, that is what's going to color our opinion for what the quarterback that we pick this week. Daniel Jones did his Kyler Murray impersonation last week, throwing for over 400 yards, and he's always a threat to run the ball. Not a really bad situation, like we said, a 23 implied total in a game that is one of the highest scoring on the main slate. I think it is the highest scoring at 52.5 over unders, and he's starting to get his weapons back. Saquon Barkley has been someone who is really starting to look like his old self. They have to respect the run, so they can't just drop back into pass coverage. And he's a threat out of the backfield to catch passes. Plus, Evan Ingram is getting healthy, and they may even get Darius. I almost said Bobby Slayton. He's a comedian. Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton back and Shepard back. So I'm liking Daniel Jones for his floor this week.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people don't look at Daniel Jones as a runner, maybe just because of what he looks like, but he's actually one of the fastest guys in the NFL. It's pretty impressive when you see him out in open space, and that's why he gets, 95-yard rushing weeks, which doesn't happen very often, but happened a couple times last year as well. He's going to get yards on the ground.
I have to disagree in one sense when you say he looks great in open space. Did you see him last year? He had no one around him for 30 yards and he tripped it.
He fell down. But he was actually outrunning everyone before he did.
Yeah, I'm just kidding you. I just thought that was quite a blooper. Yeah, the worm tripped him. All right, so we only have $9,000 left, which means that we could pay up to get a good defense and get a discount player in our flex. But that's not us, right, Michael? What are we going to do at flex?
Yeah, we don't trust the defense to be the way to get extra points here. So we want to try, if we can, find a running back that's going to get us both some pass catching and some nice yards on the ground. Man, if we can afford Zeke, I really like that, given going against New York's defense. But he actually hasn't been getting the touches out of the backfield on the passing game like Najee Harris. So if we need the extra $100, then I'm okay with Najee Harris as well. But Zeke is starting to heat up. What do you think?
Yeah, Najee Harris, 93% of the snaps. That's unreal. In this day and age of committees and third down backs, Najee truly does it all on the field. He's at home. He faces a tough defense, but you know what? It just doesn't matter with Najee. They'll figure out ways to get him the ball. And in a PPR league that DraftKings is, he's super valuable. Glad to get him at 6,900. And guess what? When we go to defense, yeah, there's a reason why we couldn't get Zeke Elliott, because he was $100 more. We couldn't afford a defense. So we'll go along with Najee Harris and Jacksonville. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how great I think Jacksonville is going to do, but I just will say they're at home, and they face a Tennessee team who, we just don't know the status of their wide receivers, Julio Jones and AJ Brown. Kind of said the same week with the Jets last week. And that's really tough on Tannehill. If your guys aren't getting open, he has to hold the ball longer, more susceptible to sacks and maybe some mistakes.
I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay. All right. So, Michael, I want to show you one thing. There is a guy that I think you should be considering this week. I'm springing it on you. I didn't even talk to you about this guy. And where this guy is he was brought in by his former coach on the Carolina Panthers. And now that coach is on Washington. And his name is Curtis Samuel. And Curtis Samuel didn't play very much last week, but he's perfectly healthy. I expect that will go up. Folks, he is the number 2 wide receiver on Washington. And by the way, they faced New Orleans. You know what? New Orleans is sort of like Tampa Bay. Very difficult to run against, but susceptible to the pass. The one good thing that they do against the pass is they have Marshawn Lattimore, who's getting older, but is still decent. He'll be on Terry McLaurin. So I think at $3,000, this guy is a steal. And just to give you a little, you can play with it however you want. But if you take our cheapest wide receiver, let's say Waddle, and replace him with Samuel, you have $1,800 to play with. And you can play with it however you like. One simple thing that you can do is you can say, hey, Dalvin Cook, you're at home. You're facing a very bad Minnesota team. Najee, we enjoyed you for a little bit. There you go. And then you have $300 to spend more. If you want to take out Tyler Boyd, then you can get Christian McCaffrey. You can do all kinds of things in that flex spot. So anyway, things to think about. Let's show you our favorite GPP play. All right, for our favorite stack of the week, it is attacking that Green Bay and Cincinnati game. That is like 49.5 over under. We got Joe Burrow, who's reasonably priced at only $6,100. And going to his deep threat, the guy with the biggest air yards, the guy with the biggest upside, Jamar Chase, who has been great this year so far. And we'll run it back with the best wide receiver in the land, certainly the best wide receiver on this main slate, Davante Adams. Michael, he is due for a big fantasy game. The only reason he hasn't really blown off the charts, obviously he had a good week 3, is he's only scored 1 touchdown. I am telling you, the 2 touchdown game is coming, and I think there's a chance that it's this week.
Yeah, no, Davante Adams, obviously the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy the last few years. So it's time for him to break out. And it's not like he's had some, other than that week 1 against New Orleans where he was bracketed by Lattimore, he's been solid. So I like the upside.
All right, let's go to Survivor. All right, can't wait to get to our week 5 Survivor picks. But I first want to let you guys know about a show that Michael Wiley and I did last night. It was a ton of fun. And if you like Survivor, you're going to like this show. We rank all 32 teams and put them in 1 of 5 tiers. I'll put the link up above right now. As soon as you watch this show, please check out that show. We really want to hear your guys' feedback, what you think of it. And if it gets a good response, we will do the show again, reviewing it at the halfway mark to the season and 3/4 of the way through the season. But right now, Michael, yep.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And we had a special guest there as well who helped us make some of those decisions. So
all right, we got to keep that a secret. Don't tell them who the special guest is.
All right.
But it's somebody who you have seen on our show before. All right. So, Michael, week 4 was a dangerous week. We have 163 people who entered our Survivor contest. We lost 33 of them thanks to the upsets to Tennessee and New Orleans. I warned you guys about New Orleans. You can't trust them as more than a touchdown favorite at home. I know, I've gotten bitten by them. And now there's just 130 left. Any other comments about last week?
Yeah, I almost picked Cincinnati on Thursday night, and even though they did pull out a win thanks to a little bit of help from their God above, that almost it was another disaster for folks. But yeah, thankfully we went with the challenging Buffalo game that turned out to pay off for us.
So to me, the fact that I have gotten through 4 weeks isn't the story. The story is I've gotten through the 4 weeks with no stress. That's what I love. Let's see, after the Broncos shutout, and now we had Buffalo shutout. I don't know if I'm as confident with my pick this week, but let's go over it. All right. So there's only 5 games, folks, that we think that you should be considering. The Tampa Bay Bucks are at home. They're 11-point favorites over Miami. New England, 9.5-point favorites at Houston. Minnesota, 8-point favorites at home against Detroit. Dallas and Baltimore, 7.5 and 7-point favorites, both at home, over the New York Giants and the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, if you look at the Colts schedule, they face some really tough teams, and Baltimore is far from infallible. They came so close, inches away from losing to Detroit. I don't feel comfortable about this game. I can't pick Baltimore, so I'm getting them off my consideration.
I agree. To me, that's the scariest of the games on the that we mentioned here today.
I'll throw Dallas in there as well. Both Dallas and Baltimore do not have a lot of future value, so I understand if you want to pick them. But the team that I am picking, I'm more confident is going to win this week. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'll explain it, I'm not worried about their future value. So it just gets down to 3 teams, right? And would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
No, I'll go real quick. So I mean, Tampa Bay, obviously, I think is a pretty safe pick coming off of what was too close of a game in New England because of Belichick's ability to know what would challenge Brady. Yeah, they got lucky because of the missed field goal at the end, but Tampa Bay is going to go home and take care of business, I think, against Miami. But Tampa Bay has just so much future value, and so for me, it's one of the other 2 games. I'm a little bit nervous about New England with the rookie quarterback. I'm not sure that they're thinking about the playoffs, and Belichick's an interesting guy. So for me, I feel a little bit better about the Minnesota game. They had a rough loss this week that they think that they're going to be a playoff contender. And so they're going to make sure they can take care of business. They've scored points. Like their offense has been fine. I don't think Detroit has the ability to keep pace. And so for me, this is the pick. I don't believe Minnesota has much future value. But I know New England doesn't either. And so I think you could go either way.
Yeah, I understand the Minnesota pick. I'm not going to go with Minnesota, and they have actually less future value than New England. And so, but I have to throw out the stupid public comment, so I'll let you respond. How could you put your survivor life on a team that's 1-3? So I think the answer is Detroit, right? But when I compare Detroit to Houston without Tyrod Taylor, Detroit actually looks really good to me. So look, Tampa Bay is the most popular pick at 19%. And somehow Dallas is at 18%. New England's at 17% and Minnesota's at 15%. So both Michael and I are fading the heavier pick, which is you always really like to do. Let's talk about New England. Guess what, Michael? How could you pick a team that has only won 1 game? Say that back to me. New England is 1-3. But look, everyone's picking Tampa Bay. They came inches away from beating Tampa Bay last week. They only lost 1 point to Miami. Their D is solid, Michael. They held Brady to 17 points, and they went on the road, and they completely embarrassed rookie quarterback Zach Wilson. 4 interceptions when they played the Jets. Does that sound familiar? They're going on the road again against a rookie quarterback, Davis Mills. And guess what? Davis Mills is not as good as Zach Wilson. So I personally think if Davis Mills is starting, Houston is absolutely the worst team in the NFL. And Tyrod Taylor is at least eligible to return next week, not this game. He can't play this game, so don't worry about that. So this is a great time to pick on Houston. Let me give you Mills' stats last week. He threw for 87 yards and 4 interceptions against Buffalo. Now, I know that Buffalo has a very good defense, but guess what? Houston's offensive line is terrible. The guy doesn't have any time to throw. And I've watched, Michael, all of Houston's last 3 games. And I am convinced that Houston's defense is taking the COVID precautions very seriously because they remain 6 feet distance between all the wide receivers. What the heck? All right. So I am, and do I feel 100%? No, because, you know, New England is not a top team. But I'm going to go with New England this week. If you look at it, they do have future value. Week 7, they host the Jets. And in week 17, they host Jacksonville. But both of those teams are worse than Houston with Davis starting. And I have other things planned those particular weeks. I think I'm okay. So this week, New England Patriots. Am I crazy, Michael? Because I could be coming next week saying, oh, well, why did I pick New England?
No, I think you're right. Houston's the worst team. You know, to me, my only concern with New England is their inability to pull away unless their defense gets those turnovers and turns them in. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty safe pick, and I understand the rationale.
All right. So we'll remind you guys, check out our video where we ranked all 32 teams in the NFL as of the first quarter, 4 games into the season. That video is on the screen as well. And when available, we'll show you guys our FanDuel video previewing week 5 full cash and GPP lineups. Until next week, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.